Hello, Jen.
Hello. Okay.
Hello. Great to
Hello.
see you again. Great to be here. And look, yeah, it's morning for me, so I also need to get going shortly. And I'm not sure if this is now something that's a wee bit too big to get into, but it related very much to some of the previous stuff that was being spoken about. Last time I spoke to you, which was about 6 weeks ago, I think, I spoke about getting very nervous when I speak, and in particular instances. Well, I ended up resigning from my committee last week.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was actually really huge for me. In that particular meeting, on reflection on that, I felt like it was a really, really strong body no that I've actually been feeling for a very long time. But it's also hard to distinguish between, and I'm not sure what the difference is between like the aversion stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things, and I could tell you a whole raft of stories around the reasons why I may feel like, and it might be because I don't know enough, or because I'm talking to people who really disagree with me, or whatever, or if it's just a really strong thing of saying, my body saying, this is not the place for you, which is in the end what I felt it was. Not that any of that actually matters in many ways, and I certainly don't want to find myself still talking about this. So I kind of want to, in fact, even a few minutes ago, I was like, not sure that I even really want to talk about this, because I know that there is such a lot of story involved. And just to say that I don't think that I have seen through self yet either. So I guess my question is about the difference between, a body yes and a body no, and aversion. Are they the same thing? Yeah. And also that my emotions are really strong. Like, I'm not somebody who struggles to find emotions happening. They overwhelm me a lot. That's probably a wee bit too too strong. Anyway.
Yeah. The difference between a body no and aversion is the attachment. For example, if I ask you, do you want to set your hair on fire? There's going to be a no. And there's not really any attachment to that no. It's just no. There's nothing more about that story. We don't even need to go into a debate about whether you should set your hair on fire. It's just like, no. That's a body no. If I ask you if you would like to let your neighbor move in and sleep on the couch for a week, there might be a body no as well. That's just like a hell no, not doing that. But there might also be stories attached to it. No, because he is or she is, and then a lot of stories about it. That's the difference. With the body no, there's no stories about it. It's just a very clear nope. So there's no attachment to it. There's no attachment for it not to happening, because it's not even a topic to talk about. With the aversion, there's stories. And in every single little label and little story, there's a little bubble of identification that you can unpick and unpick, pick apart and pick apart and pick apart. With the body no, it's just no.
Okay, yeah, that's clear to me that I was very, very attached to many of the things. I very much would have liked to have been able to let go of the attachments and bring something different into that meeting space. And that was for a long time, I kind of tried to use it as a pointer to myself about what I needed to work on. However, I also think that it was really damaging to me in the because where I now live is the general feeling around the place is quite different. I think that committee added to my sense of not belonging here, of finding it difficult to feel a sense of belonging. So, yeah, I suspect that it might have been a forum that was just a bit too intense to be able to do that work on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's difficult to do if you don't, like we just talked about with Rosie, if you don't have a community where you have somebody that you can talk to or write to on a daily basis and ping pong about, she said that, and then this feeling came up, and then the person will ask, okay, so look into the body. How did it actually feel? Can you be in a body and all of that? If you don't have that, then situations can be too much to deal with on your own. I absolutely agree with. I don't believe, however, that any situation is too big to deal with. But we can be in a place in life where we don't have the community, or we don't have the support, or we don't have the integral confidence in doing this, and then you obviously shouldn't. That would be, crossing your boundaries and abusive and everything towards yourself. But for sure, this experience that you have with this community, it's a lot, and as a hologram, it reminds you of something that I would recommend you to look into, to write down all the things about it that you feel an aversion about. Look into where that comes from, because there's a lot of meat on it for you to work with. So in order for you not having to go back to a similar situation again, use the situation now that is still so alive in you that you use that to work with.
Yeah, sure. And is that in Fetter 1 stuff, lessons?
Sorry,
I'm
you
sorry,
broke
you
up
broke
there.
up.
Is in the lessons from Fetter 1, or you want that stuff to work, the lessons?
It broke up a lot. It was asking about, I think you said about listening to the Fetter 1 videos and working through Fetter 1 stuff.
Yeah, yes. Is that where I should be looking in order to work with that?
No, it would be Fetter 4 and 5.
Okay.
It would be, but to work with it in Fetter 4 and 5, I would recommend you to have someone to work with. So a guide to work with, or ping pong, for example, in Vince's group, or you would need somebody to help you with it. But I'm not sure that you should unpack it yet until the first feather has fallen. What would you say?
Yeah, it's good to look into, but I think it is possible that it's gonna, when you don't have the identity of the first Fetter stuff still in play, then it's easier to have a more detached perspective on these things as they arise, and to have a bit more of a, there's less hooks to it. There's still identification in 4 and 5, but it's a
It's
That's
not
a lesser,
painful in
yeah,
the same way.
exactly. It's a different kind of identification.
It's not painful on a personal level, which means that Vince, he can say to you, you're just craving attention, and there's more a reflection of the words than there's a pain with it. That personalization is only happening when the first fetter is still intact. When the first fetter falls, there's nothing taken personal anymore. You're not taking things personal because there's nobody to take things personal. You know that it can't be taken personal ever, what anybody ever says, which means that it's easier for you to work with that huge issue that committee was for you. It's easier to work with that when the first fetter has fallen. So I would recommend you to work with the first fetter first. And then when that has fallen, then look at that committee and work with that. It might fall away with the first fetter.
And also, throwing another possible stake in the wheel, because all of these things are so connected, even when you look at that, it might also bring you back to second fetter issues where you were really being activated in those situations because of some underlying beliefs or things that need to be worked out on kind of a second fetter level. So it could be a useful exercise to go through, like you said, the things that are sort of activating or triggering or problematic from being in, having the role that you had, and then see where in those things it points to. Is it that you are having actual aversive issues to other people in the group? How does that relate back to you? Is it that it's bringing up, when we talk about like a fear of public speaking, well, what is it that we are experiencing that fear about? Is it the outcome of not expressing ourselves a certain way? What is this bringing up for you that would be in like a Fetter 2 sense, where you have, some fundamental belief about yourself that this is reinforcing? If you get up there and you can't, express yourself correctly the way that you want to, or it's causing so much anxiety, what is get under the root of that? So that can be a pointer to look into what's behind all of this. And then also, while, as you said, working on the first fetter, to also undermine that sense that there really is somebody there who is getting up there in front of this group of people and who is under scrutiny and who has all the pressure of, because as I recall, you had said you were like the only person kind of giving this voice of the to the committee. So it's like all of the pressure of the world and the environment and everything is on your shoulders alone. And so being able to undermine that from all these different ways could be really enlightening for you. No pun intended.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.